The Little Firefly Who Couldn't Glow by Ryan Reeds. Deep in a meadow filled with wildflowers lived a little firefly named Finn. Every evening, as the sun slipped behind the hills, the meadow came alive. Crickets sang, frogs croaked, and one by one the fireflies began to glow. Some glowed bright gold, some glowed soft yellow, some flashed like tiny stars. Everyone glowed except Finn. Every night he tried. "Glow," he whispered. Sometimes a tiny spark appeared. Then it vanished. Finn watched the other fireflies dance and wished he could be like them. One evening, he sat alone in the tall grass. "Why aren't you flying tonight?" asked Theo the turtle. "Because I can't glow," Finn replied. Theo sat beside him. "Do all flowers bloom at the same time?" "No," said Finn. "Then why should fireflies?" Finn frowned. "I don't understand." Theo smiled. "Remember this, little one. A light isn't measured by how brightly it shines. It's measured by who it helps." That night, Finn thought about those words. But he still couldn't understand. After all, what good was a firefly who couldn't glow? The next evening, dark clouds gathered above the meadow. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Soon, rain began to fall. The animals hurried for shelter. Finn hid beneath a large leaf and watched the storm. Then he heard a tiny voice. "Help!" Finn peeked outside. "Hello," he called. "Help!" The voice sounded scared. Without thinking, Finn flew into the rain. Near the old oak tree, he found a small gray bunny shivering beneath a wet leaf. "My name is Button," the bunny said. "I'm lost." Finn looked around at the dark meadow. Button's eyes filled with hope. "Can you help me get home?" Finn hesitated. He couldn't glow, but he knew the meadow better than anyone. Finally, he nodded. "I'll help you." Together, they stepped into the storm. Finn and Button carefully made their way through the rain. The storm had changed everything. Paths were covered with puddles, flowers bent in the wind. Nothing looked familiar. Soon, Finn realized he wasn't exactly sure where they were. His stomach tightened. What if he failed? "What do we do?" Button asked. Finn took a deep breath. Instead of panicking, he paid attention. He smelled wild berries carried by the wind. He heard frogs croaking near the pond. Slowly, he began to figure out where they were. "We're going the right way," Finn said. Button smiled. "I knew you'd figure it out." A little farther ahead, rushing rainwater blocked their path. Button stared at it. "I can't jump that." Finn spotted a fallen branch nearby. Using all his strength, he pushed and rolled it across the water. Splash! A bridge! Button carefully crossed. "You did it!" he shouted. Finn smiled. For the first time that night, he felt proud. Not because he could glow, but because he had helped. They continued through the storm until they reached a wall of tall grass. The wind pushed the blades back and forth like giant waves. Button looked nervous. "What if we get lost again?" Finn was scared too, but he smiled. "We'll get through it together, step by step." Then, suddenly, they heard a voice. "Button!" The bunny froze. "Mama!" The voice came again. "Button!" Together they raced toward the sound. They burst through the grass and into a clearing. Near the berry bushes stood a group of worried rabbits. The moment Button saw his mother, he ran. "Mama!" His mother wrapped him in a huge hug. "Oh, Button, I was so worried." "I'm sorry," Button said. Then he pointed to Finn. "He helped me find my way home." The rabbits thanked Finn again and again. He smiled politely. But deep inside, he felt disappointed. He had been brave. He had helped someone. Yet he still couldn't glow. Just then, Theo appeared. "A light isn't measured by how brightly it shines," he said. "It's measured by who it helps." Finn looked at Button hugging his mother. Maybe Theo was right. Maybe helping others mattered more than glowing. Over the next few days, Finn helped anyone who needed it. He guided lost beetles. He helped a trapped ladybug. He showed younger fireflies safe paths through the meadow. And every time he helped someone, he felt a warm feeling inside his chest. One evening, Finn sat beside Theo by the pond. "Why don't I glow?" he asked. Theo smiled. "And if you never did?" Finn thought for a long moment. Then he looked across the meadow, at his friends, at the animals he had helped, at the home he loved. "I think I'd still be okay," he said. "Why?" asked Theo. Finn smiled. "Because I belong here, and maybe I was never broken." At that moment, something warm stirred inside him, warmer than ever before. Then, blink, a tiny golden light appeared. Finn gasped. For the first time in his life, it stayed. His glow wasn't the brightest. It wasn't the biggest. But it shined with kindness. It shined with courage. And as Finn danced beneath the stars that night, he finally understood. He had never been waiting to find his light. He had been learning how to become it. The end.